In this video, we're going to discuss a little bit about PowerShell and LogMD. Now, LogMD will check the configuration of your system and how PowerShell is set up, looking for specific things in version 2 and looking for different things with version 4 and 5. And the reason for that is we want to help you collect the right things or have the ability to collect the right things when it comes to malicious behavior that a piece of malware or a bad actor might execute on box in a pen test or when your system's infected. And there's some things you should probably know that will help clarify a little bit about PowerShell, so this video hopefully will accomplish that for you. Now, when you run LogMD, you might get an error like this that basically says there's a failure reason because PowerShell Profile is missing. Now, this is only important in PowerShell version 2 and 3, which is the V2 engine. And this is because there are a couple variables we are looking for in the profile.ps1, which is in this directory. As you can see here, Windows System 32 PowerShell v1. And in this file here, the profile ps1, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. And we're looking for these two variables to exist. In my copy, for example, I do this, so when we launch PowerShell, you'll see that it'll tell me what version of PowerShell I have. By executing a $ps version table.ps version, it'll tell me I'm on version 2, 3, 4, or 5. And what we're checking for specifically is these two things to exist. Now, the reason we do that is this is where command line logging for PowerShell v2 will occur. But unfortunately, the malwareans know this, and so in a lot of their malware, they go ahead and execute something like this, where you can see in yellow that they're looking for the, or they're telling their malware to run PowerShell, hide the window, and don't use a profile. Now I've typed in the -nop because this is equivalent to the -no profile. It's just a shortcut of it. And it can be in any form or manner that it wants to be in. You can shortcut all these. Execution policy bypass can also be shortened as well. But if you see, or most malware, I don't think I've seen in the past 2 years where they don't execute PowerShell with these commands, which would completely bypass the use of the profile.ps1. So even though we're requesting you to set it because it's good practice, because you never know when they might not type this and you'd get some good command line logging out of it, most of the time they're going to bypass it because they don't want your profile to execute when they're launching their malware. And so LogMD will fail, but we do give you an option. If you type in logmd-h, we do give you an option to not check for that. Right here, you'll see that there is a -np option, and that is probably, again, some people will know that malware is just going to execute a no profile, so making the profile correct doesn't matter. And that's what this was intended for, is to bypass that. And so if you do the -no-p, np, and then -1, now LogMD will work correctly, and you don't have to configure the profile.ps1. It's really up to you. We recommend you do it, but if you get the failure and you don't want to set it, then there is a way to go around that, knowing that malware won't really record much in the older version v2 PowerShell. Now in version 4 and 5, there are different settings for configuring this within the registry. There are GPO settings as well. And what these are right here, and then if you want to take this down, you can see where we're doing this. Where you want to enable module logging and script block logging, these are the powerful new logging mechanisms for PowerShell version 4 and 5 that you would definitely want to set for those versions of PowerShell. These are not going to apply to the older PowerShell v2. LogMD also warns you when you are running version 2. That's all it is a warning. So if you see this, it's just saying, hey, you are subject to PowerShell downgrade attack. You can, however, under the installation of the program, you can actually remove PowerShell version v2 under this Windows features on and off. It will populate here. You can scroll down here, and here's Windows PowerShell v2, and you can actually turn it off for your system or systems. You can have set a GPO to do this so that all these systems don't have it. And if you do need it in some systems, you could have it, but it's an option to turn it off. We're making you aware of it because it is a dangerous mechanism. A bad guy, even you turn all this fancy auditing on v4 and 5, on v5 specifically. If you're on v4, please upgrade to v5. And then you try to execute stuff with these new module logging like you see here. They can bypass this using the old PowerShell libraries, and therefore these are rendered useless. So some issues in regards to some exploitation of PowerShell that you'll see in some of the PowerShell exploitation kits, but something to be aware of, that this is something you can do, and there is a way around it with LogMD, which is really good because you can still run it. And if you do launch PowerShell, you can see what my profile isn't there, right, because I renamed it. And so let's go ahead and put that back. Rename. And I'll just delete it here. Boom. So I've renamed it. Now it will execute. And if I run PowerShell again, we will see that I have version 5. And so I could, in this case, but I do testing on this, and I want version v2 in here. And I have version 5 on here. So just kind of some tips and tricks and some overview of PowerShell and LogMD and how the -np option can work for you, and when to use the profile PS1 and when not to. And that's it for now.